It's certainly understandable to want the person you love to be committed to you exclusively, to be monogamous, to tell all other suitors or would-be lovers to back off and stay away. He or she is with you and only you. And indeed, you have the right to demand of the person you want to be the significant other in your life that kind of commitment. But you also have to know that love can't just be an obligation. The person you want has to want you just as much on his or her own. If you force someone to make a choice, to make a commitment, they may, in fact, under the pressure of the moment, choose you and make that commitment. But commitments made under pressure are unlikely to last. The truth is, for a relationship to work, your partner has to commit because he wants to, not because you want him to. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. You know, it's tough to figure out how to save these relationships, but perhaps the most important question is whether these relationships ought to be saved in the first place. What's missing is a mutual concern about how one's partner is doing. Each side wanting freedom and control, neither willing to compromise their own desires for the person they once professed to love. I think it's a function of the age we're in, taking care of number one. I've got to do it for myself first. Well, that's great for building self-esteem and confidence, but I'm not sure it's a great formula for a relationship. Marriage and other personal bonds of intended permanence require not putting me first, but us first. And if that isn't a priority, then it isn't a relationship. It's merely a long date that ends when you've had enough. Our guests today have, or so it seems. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. The cheating is wrong, but the question is now, where do they go from here? Perhaps they shouldn't be together at all. But what is certain is that if a relationship is to be saved, both have to want to save it. They have to stop bringing up and punishing each other for each other's past misdeeds. And until they make a decision, they have to remove all other parties from their romantic lives. Unless they're both willing to do that, the relationships have no chance, and there will only be more pain for everyone involved. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. It seems so many of our shows deal with two people fighting over the same lover. And why the person being fought over finally makes the choice he or she does, of course, varies. Perhaps doesn't even make sense to those of us watching. It's obviously a personal decision. But what should make sense, whichever decision is made, is that if one of the partners is one with whom there's been a history, be it a marriage or at least a long-term relationship, well, that is bound to carry considerable weight, and will even carry on having an effect into the next relationship. Simply put, if you're fighting over a lover, wanting him or her to leave his ex, knowing that the life experience he or she had with the ex cannot be erased and is likely to affect how he ultimately acts with you and treats you, even if he chooses you, never assume that because the ex is out of the house, that the ex is out of the picture. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. What's happening here is that people are thinking with what's between their legs, not with what's between their shoulders. Because if they thought with their heads, they'd know that a momentary romance is rarely worth the loss of family or friends. And the fact is, if you're willing to risk it, if you're willing to screw over your friend for a romp with his or her mate, how can you ever be committed to any relationship? And why would anybody be willing to risk being committed to you? You know, the more I think about it, the premise of the show is faulty. You see, it's impossible for someone to take away the lover of a friend, because one who does obviously never was a friend. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. Really good friends in life are harder to find than lovers. So to risk a friendship for a romance, often a momentary one, is a one-way ticket to disaster. It's not just that it's a cruel thing to do to a friend, to sneak a rendezvous behind his or her back, or to try and take your friend's boyfriend or girlfriend away, but what goes around comes around. If the one you're after will cheat on your good friend to be with you, what makes you think he or she won't cheat on you to be with someone else? Of course they will, which is why it never makes sense in the quest to find a lover to screw a friend. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. We often hear it said that there's a difference between sex and love. Surely each enhances the other. When combined, it's excellent. But some can enjoy sex even if there is no love. The physical intimacy itself is pleasure enough, while others might argue the morality of sleeping with someone you don't love. The fact that this occurs should surprise no one who's been conscious over the past 20 or 30 years. But in today's show, we heard a story not just about casual sex, that is to say, lovemaking without love. In today's show, we heard a story about spiteful sex, using it as a weapon to either purposely or recklessly hurt someone else. That may be the most immoral sex of all. No, the way to get back at someone is not by sleeping with the lover of a loved one. That is more than just getting back. It's a stab in the back. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. You know, it's common to say that sexual infidelity is merely a sign of the times. But of course, that's garbage. Sexual infidelity is as old as sex, biblical in its historic roots. Indeed, sadly, it's been a sign of every age, but of course, that's no justification. It's wrong whenever it happens, and without getting into the religious arguments or the issue of sin, sexual infidelity is wrong even if you don't adhere to any particular religious doctrine. It's not the sex that makes it wrong, but the dishonesty, the having someone give of themselves to you in the most intimate, personal way, making themselves totally vulnerable, and then cheating on them, disrespecting them so that you would take what is most sacred from them and give it no value. The problem with cheating is you never get away with it, even if you're never caught, because you know you're doing it, and it's hard to be a happy person when you know you're not being a decent one. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. You know, we've all been there. Someone we know, perhaps someone we love, is dating someone we can't believe. What a loser, we say. And of course, we may be right, but it doesn't matter. The heart doesn't take a vote. We do not love who friends, family, and neighbors want us to. We just love who we love, often against our own better judgment, even knowing that it's potentially destructive. And no amount of advice or pressure or pleadings from others will change that feeling. The truth is, we feel at a different level than we think. And appealing to the common sense of one's mind, even if the arguments are rational, is of no use, because a heart has a mind of its own. All we can do is read the labels. This relationship, this love may be dangerous to your health. It may not cause your heart to fail, it'll simply break it. Know the risk. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. A straight woman pursuing a gay man, deep down believing that, boy, once he's with me, he'll never go back. He'll give up men forever. Perhaps it isn't articulated as such, but at a certain instinctive level, it's believed. And yet, in most cases, it's a foolhardy bravado, likely ultimately to lead to disappointment for the woman, because if a man's gay, it's not because a woman hasn't satisfied him, it's because a woman can't. It's not a circumstance he has chosen, but a genetic reality that is his at birth. He will always be what he is at the core, and no fashion or flirtatious approach, no matter how real or beautiful the woman, is likely to change that. In fact, it is only more likely to remind the gay man what he really is. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. You know, anyone messing with your loved one is bound to draw your ire, your unbridled anger. Indeed, we can well understand the sentiment of our guests today in telling these intruders to their love lives to back off. It's like stealing, or rather watching someone steal something from you that you really care about. Of course it hurts, and you can easily hate someone who does that, and yet, though it may temporarily make you feel better to vent your anger at this third party who's trying to take your lover away, the truth is, as hard as it is to admit, none of this would be a problem if your loved one would simply tell the other guy or girl to get lost. If your partner really loves you, he or she wouldn't let this happen. You see, it's hard to face, but the fact is, nobody gets stolen away from you who doesn't want to be. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. This is not how most people live. I mean, most of us don't sleep with our loved one's mate. We don't steal the lover of a close friend or family member. And fact is, no, most of us aren't like that. I don't know, the moral fiber seems non-existent here. And the only thing more lacking than good sense is respect. There's no respect for family, for bedmates, for even the most basic customs and traditions of society. It's little more than, well, I'll sleep with who I want, when I want, the hell with all of you. I know, how often have we heard on these shows, hey, it just happened, or we've been drinking. Well, that, of course, is no excuse. Look, a good rule of thumb to remember here is that as you're heading for the bedroom or the back seat of the car, if the face you're with is one you've seen around the Thanksgiving dinner table or other family functions, then just say no. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. It's really not that hard to make a relationship work if both parties wanted to. I mean, think about it. If there's someone we really want, most of us know how to turn on the charm to improve our chances of getting it. When you first start dating someone, you pour it on, don't you? Whether it's flowers, notes, the calls. In other words, we all have little difficulty figuring out how to make the person we want to be happy. So maybe there's nothing here you really have to look up in the library or read about in the waiting room of your doctor's office. Maybe all that's required is being honest with yourself. Do I really want to be in this relationship? And if you do, then make him or her happy. And don't pretend you don't know how to do it. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. When we love someone, it's hard to get the message that they don't love us back. To the outside world, the evidence is overwhelming. We're being mistreated. He or she is telling everyone it's over. We're in fact being told it's over. But for whatever reason, we're just not hearing it. It's not over until we say it's over, or so we think. But of course, we're wrong. It can be over long before we want it to be, because when it comes to sustaining relationships, it's never just up to us. We're always at the mercy of our lover. So while we well have the power to end a romance on our own, it takes the willingness and monogamous commitment of two to keep it going. We've seen today, as we've seen so often on our show, people being hurt. Not just because a relationship is over, but additionally because they refuse to accept it. Relationships rarely have happy endings. Therefore, there's little point in dragging out the ending. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. You know, the truth is, in most cases, we get treated the way we permit ourselves to be treated. So if a lover is unfaithful or disrespectful and you accept it, if after telling them they better never do that again and they do, and you stick around anyway, well, the message they get is they can continue to be disrespectful. There are no consequences. You don't really mean what you say. You'll put up with whatever he or she does. So the ultimatums delivered today are fine, but our guests must know that if they ever go back on their ultimatums, they are telling the person who has mistreated them that how they treat them is okay. After all, remember, we all get treated exactly the way we allow ourselves to be treated. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. It sounds awfully romantic to be fighting for the one you love, and it's certainly a natural instinct. But beyond an initial impulse and the honor it pays to one's own ego, it may not make a whole lot of sense. You see, love only works when both parties love each other with the same intensity. If the object of your affection is looking or playing elsewhere, then you obviously aren't being loved back in return as much as you're loving him or her. Oh, you may win the momentary battle, you may outsmart or outmaneuver the other lover, and through pressure, persistence, or guilt, win him back temporarily. But know this, if he's coming back because you're fighting for him, and not because on his own he wants to, the chances are it's not love, and it isn't going to last. You see, you fight to defend a lover, not to win one. If you do, it isn't love. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. You know, we start off on the premise that adults are entitled to be with whom they want, that the choice may seem crazy to someone else or even everyone else. But simply put, it's no one else's business. And except in extreme cases where there's obvious danger involved, one shouldn't interfere. You can see how so often on our show, guests have reason to be angry that someone is butting into their relationship. But it should also be noted that the fault isn't always with the one interfering. Often that person has, in a sense, been invited in, that is to say, led to believe that he or she is still in the picture, either directly through words and action, or maybe by calls for advice or help. The point is, if someone is interfering in your relationship, are you sure it isn't because you or your lover hasn't extended the invitation? Most people don't go where they're truly not wanted. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. Part of the intensity of love is its vulnerability, knowing that you're never in control, that you're giving all of yourself and it can be taken at any time. In terms of your feelings, it's life on the edge. And our guests today have felt that vulnerability. They opened their hearts, and as so often happens, they got burned. Why would their lover lie to them or cheat? And there is now not only pain and disappointment, but anger, a feeling of having been taken advantage of. It is of small consolation to know that virtually everyone goes through that in life, usually more than once. Indeed, the only way to protect yourself from ever having that happen to you is to never fall in love in the first place. The problem is, that's an empty life. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. Thanks for watching. Now please approach the bench. The way I look at it, you have two options here. Option A, watch more Judge Jerry. Option B, watch more Jerry Springer. The choice is yours. Now get out of my courtroom. You have more clips to watch. And don't forget to subscribe.